What if the universe never dies? No big crunch, no final silence, no last breath of stars. Instead, a cosmos that endures forever, unfolding in ways we can hardly imagine. Tonight, let's step into the possibility of an everlasting universe where time itself becomes infinite. Chapter 1. The Human Obsession with Endings. We humans have always lived with stories of endings. Long before telescopes or physics, our ancestors looked up at the night sky and wondered not only how it began, but how it might all end. Ancient myths spoke of floods, fire, eternal night, or gods collapsing the heavens. The idea of a grand finale and ultimate ending runs through nearly every culture. Why? Perhaps because endings help us make sense of time. A story without an ending feels incomplete. We crave closure, even on the scale of the universe itself. But what if closure never comes? What if the universe does not die? That question feels unnatural to us. We are born, we live, we die. Every living thing has a final chapter. Civilizations rise and fall. Stars burn and fade. So, when we imagine the cosmos, we extend this same pattern. Surely, it too must end. Modern science has continued this tradition. For decades, cosmologists have proposed different scenarios for how the universe might collapse, rip apart, or fade into silence. You may have heard of them: the Big Crunch, where gravity pulls everything back together; the Big Rip, where expansion tears matter itself apart; or heat death, where stars burn out and the cosmos freezes into darkness. Each one is a kind of ending. Each one gives us a way to say, here is the final page of the story. But let's pause. What if these endings are not inevitable? What if, instead, the universe simply keeps going, endlessly expanding, never stopping, never truly dying? That possibility is harder for us to grasp, but it is just as real in scientific discussion. Think about it. If the universe never ends, then time itself stretches on forever. There is no final chapter, no last breath, only continuation. This idea changes everything. It challenges the way we view not only the cosmos, but ourselves. Because if the universe never ends, then every ending we imagine, personal, cultural, even cosmic, is only temporary, only local. Beyond it, existence continues. So, why are we so obsessed with endings in the first place? Part of the answer is psychological. Our brains are wired to notice patterns of beginning, middle, and end. Stories comfort us. They give shape to chaos. A universe that ends feels narratively satisfying. It feels like something we can hold in our hands. A universe that never ends. That feels overwhelming. It stretches beyond imagination. Where does meaning fit inside infinity? Yet, when we look at the evidence, the idea of an everlasting universe is not only possible, it may be likely. Observations of distant galaxies show us that the universe is expanding, and that expansion is speeding up. Instead of slowing down toward a collapse, it's racing outward, faster and faster. That discovery shocked scientists in the late 1990s. It suggested the cosmos may never contract, may never stop, may never reach a neat conclusion. If that's true, then the universe could be infinite, not just in size, but in time. No final crash, no dramatic rip, just an endless horizon. But let's return to the human scale for a moment. Imagine standing under the night sky, staring at stars that seem eternal. You know they're not. Each one will burn out, yet above you, the sky feels endless. That feeling is a small glimpse of what an everlasting universe might mean. It is less a story with a final act, and more a background that never closes its curtain. There's something unsettling about that. We want to know how things end, so we can prepare, or so we can assign meaning. Without an ending, the story feels unfinished. Without a conclusion, do we risk feeling lost? But there is another way to see it. Perhaps a universe with no ending frees us. If the cosmos never dies, then endings are not universal laws but local events. Our deaths, the death of our planet, even the death of Galaxies, are not the end of existence. only transitions within a greater, ongoing whole. This thought opens a doorway to wonder. What kind of meaning might emerge if we stop looking for the finale and start looking for patterns of continuation instead? It is worth remembering that science itself is always evolving. A few hundred years ago, people believed the universe was static, eternal in an unchanging way. Then came the discovery that it had a beginning, the Big Bang. Now, as we project forward, we imagine different possible ends, but the evidence of accelerating expansion suggests something else. Maybe the universe is not heading toward an end at all. Maybe it is heading toward forever. Of course, forever is a difficult concept. Our minds cannot truly grasp infinity. We measure our lives in decades, our civilizations in centuries, and even the age of the Earth in billions of years. Infinity dwarfs all of that. It makes time itself feel fragile. Yet, infinity may be the truth of the cosmos, and if so, then every ending we fear is not the end of existence, but only the end of a chapter inside a book that never closes. So, in this first step of our journey, we confront a paradox. Humans cling to endings because we need them. We crave stories that close, but the universe itself may not follow that rule. It may have no ending at all, and if that's true, then perhaps we must learn to live differently with time, not as something that always pushes toward closure, but as something that unfolds endlessly, with no final act. That idea is both terrifying and beautiful. It strips away our comforting stories of cosmic finales, but it also opens a deeper mystery. What does it mean to live inside eternity? This is the question we will carry forward. In the chapters to come, we will explore the physics of an expanding universe that does not end, the theories that imagine eternal cycles, and the possibilities for consciousness in such a boundless cosmos. But before we do, pause for a moment. Look up at the sky. Think of the stars. Ask yourself, are you looking at a story with an ending, or are you already gazing into forever? Chapter 2. Physics of Eternity. Expansion without end emerging. Standing on a balcony, billions of years from now, looking into the night sky, the stars above are dim. The galaxies that once filled the heavens have disappeared. Only your galaxy remains, a solitary island in a sea of darkness. Everything else, the great spiral arms of Andromeda, the glittering clusters of Virgo, the distant haze of countless galaxies, has been erased from view. This is not science fiction. It is the logical consequence of a universe that expands forever. The discovery of expansion in the 1920s, Edwin Hubble discovered something astonishing. Galaxies are not fixed in place. Instead, they are racing away from us, and the farther a galaxy is, the faster it seems to recede. This was the first evidence that the universe itself is expanding. For decades, scientists thought expansion might slow down. Gravity, after all, pulls things together. Maybe one day the universe would halt its outward rush and begin to collapse, spiraling back toward a final big crunch. But in the late 1990s, a new discovery changed everything. Observations of distant exploding stars supernova revealed that expansion is not slowing down, it is speeding up. The galaxies are not just drifting apart, they are being pushed away at an accelerating rate. The culprit, we believe, is something called dark energy. Dark energy and the great push. Dark energy is one of the strangest ideas in modern physics. It is not matter, it is not radiation, it does not behave like anything we experience in daily life, but it appears to make up nearly 70% of the universe. You can think of it as a kind of invisible pressure built into space itself. As the universe grows, more space appears, and with it, more of this mysterious energy. The result is acceleration. Galaxies recede faster and faster, carried outward by a cosmic tide we cannot see but can measure. If this acceleration continues indefinitely, the future of the universe is not a violent collapse, but something quieter, an eternal stretching, a universe that dilutes. In this model, the universe never ends in the traditional sense. It does not crash. It does not rip itself apart in a sudden catastrophe. Instead, it becomes more diffuse, more diluted, with each passing eon. Stars continue to shine, but one by one, they exhaust their fuel. New stars form, but at a slower pace, because the gas that makes them becomes harder to gather. Over trillions of years, galaxies grow dim. Meanwhile, expansion drives galaxies farther apart. Eventually, the light from most galaxies will be stretched so thin its wavelength pulled beyond the visible spectrum that it becomes undetectable. To future observers, the universe will seem smaller, not larger, because only their own galaxy will remain within sight. It is a strange irony. The universe expands forever, yet to those living inside it, the cosmos will appear to shrink. The concept of cosmic eternity. This brings us to a haunting phrase, cosmic eternity. It does not mean eternal life or eternal energy. It means eternal duration. The universe continues without end, but not in the way our imaginations usually picture eternity. We often imagine infinity as fullness, an endless feast of stars, galaxies, wonders. But cosmic eternity is different. It is not fullness, but emptiness. Not abundance, but dilution. Over immense spans of time, stars die, black holes evaporate, and matter itself decays. What remains is not nothing, but almost nothing. A thin mist of particles, expanding endlessly into the dark. So the question arises, is this truly eternity, or is it another form of death, an endless fading rather than a sudden finale? Philosophical reflection, the nature of an endless fade. When we think of endings, we picture something sharp, a crash, a fall, a silence. But the expansion model denies us that closure. Instead, it gives us a future that slips away slowly, like a memory that never fully vanishes but grows dimmer with each passing day. Imagine the difference between a candle being blown out versus a candle burning so slowly that it never truly dies, but grows weaker and weaker until the flame is imperceptible. Both are endings of a kind. One is fast, one is infinite. The accelerating universe is like that second candle. The light lingers, stretched thinner and thinner, until no observer can detect it. The cosmos continues forever, but forever becomes indistinguishable from silence. The human response to dilution. This vision is unsettling. We tend to find meaning in dramatic conclusions, occlusions, apocalypses, collapses, transformations. But what meaning do we assign to a future that simply fades? Some may see it as tragic, a universe destined not for glory but for emptiness. Others may see it as beautiful, an existence that never truly ends, always unfolding, even if in silence. There is a strange comfort in this perspective. In an everlasting cosmos, nothing is final. Even death, even decay, are not true conclusions, but transitions within an ongoing, infinite backdrop. The play does not stop. The stage only grows quieter. The future observer skylit return to the image we began with, a distant observer, billions or trillions of years in the future, gazing at the night sky. To them, the heavens would look almost empty. The Milky Way perhaps merged long ago with Andromeda into a single massive galaxy would be all that remained visible. Every other galaxy would have receded beyond the cosmic horizon, its light stretched into invisibility. For that observer, the universe would appear finite, small, perhaps even lonely. And yet the truth would be the opposite. The universe would be larger than ever, its expansion unstoppable, its reach infinite. This is the paradox of eternity through expansion. The more the universe grows, the less we can see of it. The more infinite it becomes, the smaller it looks. The endless horizontal. Where does this leave us? The physics of eternity paints a universe without a final ending, but also without a final meaning. It is not destruction, but dilution. Not collapse, but dispersal. It is a vision both haunting and humbling. On one hand, it denies us the comfort of closure. There is no cosmic curtain call. On the other, it offers a kind of freedom. Existence itself may never truly cease. Space and time continue, whether or not we are here to witness them. Perhaps eternity is not what we hoped for, but it is what the universe gives us. a horizon that forever recedes, a story that never closes, a silence that is endless but never complete. The accelerating expansion of the universe is one of the most profound discoveries in human history. It tells us that the cosmos may not end in fire or ice, but in something stranger, a stretch into forever. And as we stand beneath the night sky today, we are already part of that story. The expansion is happening now, silently, invisibly, carrying galaxies away at unimaginable speeds. When you look at the stars tonight, remember this: you are not only looking into the past, you are also looking into a future that may never end. Chapter 3: The Everlasting Universe Theories. Eternity is one of those words we use casually, but rarely pause to imagine. To live forever, to stretch into infinity, to exist without end. When applied to the universe itself, the idea becomes even more dizzying. Could the cosmos truly have no boundary? No final curtain? Could it go on endlessly, not in one form, but in countless ways? Science has offered a handful of daring theories about an everlasting universe. Some sound almost mystical, others are built from hard equations. All of them force us to look beyond human time, beyond even cosmic time, into something that has no clear edge. Let's step into these theories. Eternal inflation. The multiverse, without endone, of the most powerful ideas in modern cosmology, is called eternal inflation. Inflation refers to the rapid expansion that took place in the first tiny fraction of a second after the Big Bang. According to the theory, space ballooned outward at a speed far faster than light, smoothing and shaping the universe we see today. But inflation may not have ended everywhere. Some physicists propose that inflation is eternal. That means in certain regions of space, expansion never stops. New pocket universes keep bubbling into existence, each with its own laws of physics, its own galaxies, maybe even its own forms of life. In this picture, our universe is just one bubble in an endless froth. We are floating in a cosmic sea, where universes are born constantly, forever. Imagine it. While our own stars burn out, somewhere beyond, other stars are igniting, new worlds forming, perhaps civilizations beginning. Eternal inflation paints a vision of eternity that is not quiet, but endlessly fertile. The universe does not simply last, it reproduces. Death in one corner means nothing, because birth is happening in countless others. And yet, this theory raises a haunting question. If infinite universes exist, what makes ours special? Are we just one anonymous bubble among an uncountable number, destined to vanish without significance? Cyclical universes, death and rebirth. Another idea takes inspiration from cycles we see in nature, the rising and setting of the sun, the passing of seasons, the birth and death of stars. What if the universe itself works in cycles? In the cyclical or oscillating model, the universe expands, slows, then collapses back in on itself. After that, it could ignite again in a new Big Bang, beginning a new era of time. Over and over, this pattern might repeat forever. Think of it as cosmic breathing. Expansion is the inhale, contraction the exhale. The rhythm could continue endlessly, with universes dying only to be reborn. If this is true, then what we call the Big Bang might not have been the beginning at all, just the latest heartbeat in an eternal cosmic body. But the thought is both comforting and unsettling. Comforting, because it suggests renewal, rebirth, and infinite chances. Unsettling, because it means everything we know, every achievement, every memory, is eventually wiped away, recycled into something new. Would that still count as eternity, if nothing is preserved? The steady state and quantum timelessness. There was once a theory called the steady state model. It suggested the universe has always existed in roughly the same form, expanding yet creating new matter to fill the gaps, keeping density constant. In this view, the universe has no beginning and no end. It simply is, eternally balanced. Though most scientists abandoned this model after overwhelming evidence for the Big Bang, it still represents an attempt to think about eternity not as cycles, but as a continuous present. Quantum physics offers another strange perspective. Some theories propose that time itself is not fundamental. Instead, time might be an illusion that emerges from deeper, timeless quantum laws. If this is true, then eternity is not something that stretches forward endlessly. It is a state that already exists outside of time. In that framework, past, present, and future all exists together, like pages of a book already written. We only experience them one at a time. To ask, when does the universe end, might be meaningless, because end presumes time. Eternity may not be infinite. Duration it may be the absence of duration altogether, a patch in the fabric of infinity here, as a mystery to reflect on. What if our universe is just a patch of eternity, one moment in an endless chain we cannot see? Imagine eternity as a vast fabric, infinite in all directions. Our universe would be no more than a single stitch, a fragment of a pattern too large for us to comprehend. We look around and think we are seeing everything, but perhaps we are only glimpsing a sliver. In this sense, eternity might not be something we enter in the future. We are already inside it. Every star, every breath, every instant is already woven into the infinite. The unsettling part is that we cannot know. Our instruments, our theories, even our imaginations may never be enough to grasp the whole. Eternity may remain permanently beyond the reach of beings built for brief lifespans. Can we even comprehend eternity? Here is the philosophical edge of the question. Can the human mind truly comprehend eternity? Or are we like ants trying to imagine the ocean? We are creatures of time. We measure days, years, centuries. We see beginnings and endings in everything around us. Our stories, our lives, even our languages are shaped by time's arrow. Eternity breaks that arrow. It demands that we picture something with no start and no finish, no boundary to hold on to. It is possible that the very structure of our minds makes such a vision impossible, and yet we keep trying. Ancient myths spoke of eternal heavens or endless cycles. Modern physics speaks of inflation, multiverses, or timeless quantum states. Across ages, humans have reached for the infinite, even knowing we might never touch it. Perhaps eternity is not meant to be understood. Perhaps it is meant to be felt. In moments of awe when we look at the stars and sense their vastness. Imagery. Stars forever igniting. Picture this. Our universe grows quiet. Galaxies drift apart. Stars go cold. But somewhere, in some newborn universe, stars are igniting. Light is rising again against the dark. Entire worlds are taking shape while ours falls into silence. It is not one story, but countless stories, repeating without end. Each universe carrying its own destiny. Each moment part of something larger, something that never dies. This is the vision the everlasting universe theories give us. Not destruction, but continuation. Not a wall, but a horizon that always recedes. The idea of eternity is both beautiful and terrifying. If eternal inflation is right, the cosmos is endlessly fertile. If cycles are true, death is always followed by rebirth. If timelessness holds, then eternity is already here, hidden beneath the flow of moments. No matter which vision is correct, one thing is certain: the universe is far stranger, far more profound than our everyday lives suggest. We are not just drifting in space, we are part of a mystery without boundary. And maybe that is enough. Chapter 4. Consciousness in an endless cosmos. What does it mean to be alive in a universe without end? It is one thing to imagine stars burning forever, galaxies drifting apart without limit, or universes being born endlessly. But what about us, the beings who watch, think, and wonder? Could consciousness itself adapt to eternity? Could life, in some form, learn to endure infinite time? This is not just a scientific question, it is an existential one. If the cosmos truly has no ending, then life may face a choice: fade with the stars, or evolve into something new, something able to survive the long night. Civilizations in eternal timelets begin with a thought experiment. Imagine a civilization millions of years ahead of ours. They have already mastered their galaxy. They have tapped into energy from black holes, built structures around stars, and perhaps even manipulated space-time itself. Now imagine they look into the far future. They see what scientists today also see: stars dying, galaxies slipping away, energy growing scarce. If the universe never ends, but instead thins out forever, then eternity does not mean abundance. It means an infinite stretch of survival against decay. What would such a civilization do? They might slow their processes, thinking once every million years instead of every second. They might store information in patterns of particles, letting their minds unfold at glacial speeds, stretching limited energy across boundless time. Or perhaps they would seek escape not from space, but from time itself. If new universes continue to be born, could they find a way to slip into one? Could intelligence migrate from an old cosmos into a newborn one, like seeds carried on the wind to fertile soil? Infinite time, infinite possibilities. Terra changes the rules. With infinite time, every possibility eventually unfolds. But this also means every achievement may eventually crumble, every memory may erode. Consider memory. On Earth, we preserve our thoughts in books, in art, in digital archives. But over infinite spans, nothing material can last, even atoms decay. So, in an eternal universe, what happens to memory? Does it scatter like dust, leaving only fragments? Or could intelligence learn to write itself into more fundamental layers of reality, into quantum fields, into the very fabric of space-time? If so, then consciousness may not just survive eternity, but weave itself into it, becoming part of the endless story of the cosmos. But eternity is not only creation, it is also decay. With infinite time, everything that can go wrong eventually will. Structures collapse, stars collapse, even black holes evaporate. If intelligence does not change form, then even the greatest civilizations may be destined to dissolve into silence. And yet, some philosophers argue that cycles may rescue meaning. If universes are born and reborn infinitely, then perhaps life too is reborn endlessly. Perhaps consciousness is not destroyed but rediscovered, again and again, across eternal waves. The liberation and terror of eternity. Would eternity be liberating or terrifying? On one hand, the idea of endless time suggests infinite freedom. There would always be another chance, another tomorrow. No mistake would be final, because eternity always offers room for renewal. Civilizations could reinvent themselves again and again, exploring every possibility without ever running out of time. But the darker side is just as powerful. Without endings, can there be meaning? Endings give shape to stories. They give urgency to love, value to memory, and depth to our choices. An existence that never concludes may begin to feel like a prison. Imagine living not for centuries or millennia, but for countless trillions of years, watching stars vanish one by one, the sky growing darker until only your own thoughts remain. Would such a life still feel like life? Or would eternity become a slow drowning in emptiness, a silence so deep that even consciousness longs for an end? Intelligence beyond stars. If life is to survive endless time, it cannot remain tied to fragile bodies of flesh, or even machines made of matter. To last, it would need to move into new substrates, forms of being not limited by stars or atoms. Some scientists and philosophers speculate that consciousness could one day transfer into quantum systems. Instead of brains or computers, intelligence might live in patterns of quantum entanglement, encoded into the very structure of reality. Others imagine civilizations learning to spark baby universes, small pockets of space-time with fresh energy supplies, and then moving into them. In this vision, intelligence would not just survive the death of stars, it would transcend them, leaping from universe to universe, becoming eternal travelers in an infinite ocean. There are even wilder ideas. Perhaps consciousness could distribute itself into fields of energy, thin but vast, stretched across galaxies, or perhaps awareness could merge with the laws of physics themselves, no longer confined to beings, but existing as a property of the cosmos. These speculations sound poetic, almost mystical, but that is the nature of thinking about eternity. The boundaries between science and philosophy blur. The future becomes not only a question of technology, but of imagination, the human place in the infinite. And yet, when we return to ourselves, small creatures on a small planet, these visions feel impossibly distant. Could our species, with our fragile bodies and limited lifespans, truly have a place in eternal time? Perhaps not directly. Perhaps humanity as we know it will not endure. But maybe consciousness, once sparked, cannot easily vanish. Just as stars give birth to elements, perhaps intelligent life gives birth to something even greater, a continuation of awareness that stretches beyond its origin. In that sense, we may already be part of eternity, not because we will live forever, but because our existence contributes to an endless unfolding. Each thought, each life, may ripple outward, joining patterns far beyond what we can see. A poetic reflection pictured the endless cosmos once more. Stars burn out, one by one. Galaxies fade into the dark. Civilizations rise, struggle, and vanish. And yet, across eternity, consciousness keeps reappearing, like sparks in the night. Sometimes it is bound to matter, sometimes woven into energy, sometimes hidden in dimensions beyond our reach. But always, somewhere, awareness stirs again. Eternity is not empty, it is alive with possibilities. The question is not whether life can adapt to eternal time. The question is what form it will take, what meaning it will carry, and whether, in the silence between stars, it will still call itself alive. To think of consciousness in an endless cosmos is to confront our deepest fears and our highest hopes. Eternity could be liberation, or it could be exile. It could be the flowering of infinite wisdom, or the slow erosion of all meaning. But perhaps the truth lies not in choosing one vision or the other. Perhaps eternity is both promise and peril, both wonder and dread. And maybe, just maybe, the act of asking these questions, the fact that a small species on a pale planet can imagine eternity, at Alice itself, proof that consciousness is already reaching toward the infinite. Chapter 5. What eternity means for us. Now we have traveled far through theories of endless expansion, rebirth, inflation, and timelessness. We have wondered whether civilizations could adapt to eternal time, whether consciousness itself might outlive stars. But now, we must return to where we began, here, on Earth, in this fleeting moment, because the real question is not only what eternity is, but what it means for us, now. Why should a species with lifespans measured in decades care about a cosmos that stretches for trillions of years? Why should human beings, fragile, finite, temporary, spend time thinking about eternity? Eternity, as perspectivist answer may be that eternity is less about physics and more about perspective. We measure our lives in hours, years, generations, but the universe measures time in billions of years. Against that backdrop, our entire history is no more than a blink. And yet, that blink exists inside something that may never end. To know this is humbling. It reminds us that our daily struggles, our victories and failures, are small when seen against eternity. But humility does not mean insignificance. On the contrary, to exist at all in an endless cosmos is astonishing. We are not outside of eternity, looking in. We are already inside it. Every breath we take, every word we speak, every life we live is already part of an unbroken continuum that stretches beyond comprehension. The value of the brief, paradoxically, eternity, makes the brief more precious. If the universe never ends, then our short lives gain meaning not because they last, but because they do not. Scarcity makes them luminous. A star that burns for only an instant can still light the sky. A life that passes in a century can still change the course of history. We sometimes imagine that meaning requires permanence, that only what lasts forever is real. But perhaps the opposite is true. Perhaps what matters most is what shines brightly for a moment and then vanishes, precisely because it cannot be repeated. When we reflect on eternity, we begin to see that the fragility of life is not a flaw, it is its essence. Human meaning in a cosmic framith, question of eternity, challenges us to expand our sense of meaning. For most of history, we thought only of tribes, then nations, then perhaps humanity as a whole. But when we see ourselves against eternity, the scale shifts again. Our meaning cannot be confined to survival or conquest. It must be larger, more enduring, even if our lives are not. To know that the universe may never end is to realize that our actions ripple into something vast. A kindness extended today, a discovery made, a story told, they do not simply vanish. They shape the future, however subtly, and in doing so they join the eternal unfolding of the cosmos. In this way, eternity is not far away. It is here, in the choices we make, in the lives we touch. Eternity as Mr. Rither is another way eternity matters. As mystery, we often crave certainty. We want to know how the story ends, whether the universe collapses, freezes, or burns. But eternity denies us that comfort. It stretches beyond what we can measure, beyond even what we can imagine. And perhaps that is its gift. Mystery fuels curiosity. Without it, there is no science, no philosophy, no art. To live inside eternity is to live inside a question that can never be fully answered. And in that question lies the spark of human wonder. We may never understand eternity completely, but the act of reaching toward it, the attempt to imagine infinity with finite minds, may be one of the most profound things we do. Already part of the infinita here is the closing mystery. If the universe never ends, then we are not waiting to enter eternity someday. We are already in it. When you look at the night sky, the light you see is ancient. Stars that died long ago still send their photons into your eyes. You are witnessing time stretched across billions of years. That experience alone is proof that eternity touches us constantly. Even more, your atoms were forged in stars that lived and died before Earth formed. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your cells, they are fragments of an eternal process of birth and death, recycling across cosmic time. You are already part of eternity, written into it at every level. Liberation in the present. So, perhaps the question is not, will eternity come? But how should we live, knowing we are already within it? This awareness can be liberating. We do not need to escape death to be eternal. We do not need to live forever to matter. Eternity is not a prize waiting in the future, is the condition in which we already exist. To live with that knowledge is to see our days differently. A walk in the morning light is no longer just a fleeting pleasure, it is an expression of the eternal fabric of reality. A conversation, a song, a moment of silence with someone you love, these are not temporary interruptions in the flow of eternity. They are eternity, as it passes through us. Perhaps the greatest gift of contemplating eternity is not that it answers questions, but that it deepens them. If the universe never ends, then our lives are not detached fragments. They are threads woven into an infinite tapestry. Whether brief or long, joyful or painful, they contribute to the whole. And so the meaning of eternity for us, here and now, is simple. To live with awareness that every moment is already infinite in its belonging. The stars remind us. The silence between them reminds us. We are not outside eternity, looking in, we are inside it, together, right now. If this journey into forever left you with questions or a sense of awe, share your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe if you'd like to keep exploring the mysteries of existence with us. Until next time, remember, eternity may already be here.